President Cyril Ramaphosa has 10 days to explain himself to the public finance watchdog, the Standing Committee on Public Accounts. This after a leaked audio recording in which he appears to admit that public finances are often used for ANC campaigns.
Now, in this audio recording from an ANC-NEC meeting, we understand about a year ago the meeting happened, it was leaked to the Inside Factor in December last year. Now, Ramaphosa can be heard saying that he's prepared to take the fall to protect the governing party's image. Let's take a listen to that recording now.
Investigations will reveal that a lot of money, of public money, was used. And I said in this case, I am prepared to fall on the sword so that the CR17 campaign, yes, should be the only one that's looked at and not the others. Because the image of the African National Congress is what I am most concerned about. Each one of us knows that quite a bit of money that is used in campaigns, in bussing people around, in doing all manner of things, is often from state resources and public resources. And we cannot kid ourselves when it comes to that. One of the officials said, as these people from the state security were testifying, one of the officials said, soon they will be revealing about how money from the SSA was used for some campaigns. And I said, heaven forbid. I would rather they say, yes, you got money from this businessman for CR17, than for the public to finally hear that their money, public money, was used to advance certain campaigns. So, Comrade Tony and all comrades, on this need for transparency, I'm all for it. And you will recall, comrades, after the Nazareth conference, I was the first one to say we need to develop guidelines on how we run campaigns. I was the first one.
All right, let's now bring in the ANC's head of presidency, Sibongile Besani. Thanks for your time, Sibongile. I appreciate it. So listening to that clip, it seems very obvious to anyone who does hear it that the president seems to be acknowledging that state funds have been used for ANC campaigns. How do you explain or defend that?
Well, thank you very much. The president explains there that there is testimony, or some of officials have made reference to the state usage of state resources. And in the context of that, officials, as you would know, that at the Zondo Commission, one of the senior state officials made a testimony to the effect that state coffers were used for ANC activity. So the president says, this is what we all know. And if this is what we all know, therefore, we need to be transparent about. In other words, the president makes reference to what all of us have heard publicly. He was not referring to something that is not in the public knowledge.
Yes, but he goes on, right? He acknowledges that we have heard in the state capture inquiry that public funds from the SSA, the State Security Agency, were used for campaigning. And he says that we all know that happened. And this is the tricky part here. He says, I would rather they say, yes, we got the money from this businessman for the CR17 campaign, than for the public to finally hear that the money, public money, was used to advance certain campaigns. That line is problematic because it seems like the president is trying to deflect about the public use, or public money rather, being used for ANC campaigns.
It shouldn't be problematic if one has the full context of the meeting. At the meeting, various complaints about some campaigns were brought to the fore. And the president, in the context of that meeting, he was explaining that he would not want people to divert attention to what was being discussed at that point, which was the CR17 funds. And the president was making a call that it is something, it is different when people receive money from maybe, let's say, individuals or private individuals than for campaigns of the ANC, than find out that it is the state coffers that were used for campaigns. So the point was trying to make here is that we should not drag the name of the ANC into the campaigns, especially with regard to corruption, with regards to using state coffers for the campaigns.
Why not, though? If that was the case, if public money was used for ANC campaigns, which is clearly wrong, why not drag the ANC into the mud for that? Because it seems to be a matter of fact in this leaked audio.
The fact here is that the president, you and I, had state senior officials testifying before the Zondo Commission that state resources, coffers, were used for campaigns. And the president was decrying that kind of a tendency. And based on what we have heard from various officials of government at the Zondo Commission, that amounted to what we knew and what the president knows. So it is not like the president was hiding something that the public did not know. The reference was made to what he had heard at the Zondo Commission, which is what we knew. That is why he was making a call that we'd rather hear that individuals are contributing to the ANC than hear that the ANC is using state coffers for our campaigns. Here he was trying, he was not hiding something, he was saying, this is what we know people have said. That's the point that the president was saying. He was not saying, I know something that you don't know. He was not saying that.
Yes, but the bigger issue is that the ANC acknowledges that public funds, and the president does in the clip, public funds are used for ANC campaigns. And the president is here saying that, no, instead of letting them find out about that, let's focus on them hearing about businessmen funding the CR17 campaign. So it looks like he's trying to hide very important information from the public. And as the president of the country, if he has knowledge and facts that public funds are used for ANC campaigns, then that's the concerning aspect of this.
No, the president was not alluding to that. The president was saying, we all know that there is, in fact, to the effect, we all know that various people have testified before the Zondo Commission that the ANC, people have been using state coffers to campaign in the ANC. And he says it is something that we should declare, that we should not actually, and that is the context that I'm explaining now, that he says, no, we shouldn't drag the ANC into that.
Why
it is
not?
Something different. Why should you drag the name of the ANC when you, as an individual, are using state coffers? If an individual uses state coffers for his campaign, don't drag the ANC. And it is, so we shouldn't lead, you see, as a leader of any organization, you make sure that the integrity, the image of that organization is not dragged in the mud. So he was trying to talk to the colleagues that we should not drag the name of the ANC when our activities are not in line.
Well, actually you should. Because as the president of any party, if there is a problem, you shouldn't be saying we shouldn't drag the ANC's name in the mud. You should actually say that this is quite concerning and we need to address this because it's public money that was supposed to be used for public services, not for ANC campaigns. So I'm not understanding the way you're trying to explain this to me because it's still problematic if that's what you're saying.
Can I repeat myself? And I'll try to be short. There's a full context of the meeting. What is being discussed, the CR17 funds. The president of the ANC says, look, it is important that we realize that there's a difference between getting money from private people than the ANC as an organization receiving money using state coffers for its activities and in a corrupt way. That's what the president, there's a difference there. No president no individual should drag the name of the ANC in the mud for his own personal campaigns in the ANC. I don't see why should the president not reprimand or call for members, his colleagues in an ANC meeting, not to involve themselves in such activities.
If the president is acknowledging that public funds were used for ANC campaigns, have you as the ANC established how this happened?
The president makes reference to what is in the public knowledge. He makes reference to officials who have made even testimonies or who are going to make testimonies to the Zondo Commission. That is what everybody knows. And he says, let us not deceive ourselves. We all know that this is coming and this has been testified. So
yes.
He does not say, I'm hiding something. Yes.
It sounds like it is, Sibongile. No, it does sound like it is hiding something because of that line. And I'll read it again because I'm not the only one who has listened to this and thought that there's something untoward about what the president is saying. And I'll read it again. He says, I would rather, and that's the word, I would rather they say, yes, he got money from this businessman for CR17 than for the public to finally hear, another way where he says finally hear, that the money, public money, was used to advance certain campaigns. Now, you see, the words used are key. You can say that the president is acknowledging the fact that the ANC knows that public funds were used for campaigns through the Zondo Commission. But how the president actually responds to that is key, because he says, I would rather let them hear that businessmen paid the CR17 campaign than actually letting them know that public funds was used. Now, that is the suspicious line in this leaked audio, and I'm still not understanding your explanation about it. So, try again.
No, the point I'm making is, if I say to my child or to any person that I would rather get money from elsewhere, or from this individual, than use state coffers, that is not an admission of guilt. It is actually an explanation to that person that we should not drag us into using state coffers for what I want to do. And we should not drag the ANC for usage of state coffers. I would rather prefer to hear the public say, no, he got money from this person and that person. Not the ANC.
That's dodgy.
Being dragged into this.
Spongile,
No, it's not dodgy.
No, it is dodgy.
You don't. Now, can I say something? Remember, I said initially, my opening remarks, there's an issue of context of what was being discussed. There's a number of issues that were being addressed. The first one was that people were coming with other campaigns. The president says, no, let's not discuss other campaigns. Let's focus on this one. That is the matter on the table, which was the CR17 funds. The matter that is being discussed in the NEC, the matter that is being discussed at that stage, ventilated in the courts of law. So it's not about being dodgy. It's about saying, let's not drag the ANC into this. If we get funds from individuals, let's not say it is the ANC. It is us who are involved in those activities. That's the point we're trying to make. I don't see how that is dodgy. And in a meeting, any president, any leader has got a right in the meeting of that party to require, to ask, to plead with his colleagues that let us maintain the image of this organization. There is nothing wrong if in a meeting of an organization to require and demand of members that let us uphold the best ethical practices of the organization. And this is not about comparing whether the country comes first and the party comes first than the country. That is not the issue. The issue is that we are in a meeting of a political party who are being requested. There's a plea that let us maintain, uphold the image of this organization and not drag it into issues of possible individual corrupt activities.
So maintaining the image of the party entailed the president saying, let's focus on CR17 and let's the public hear about possible businessmen funding the CR17 campaign over them hearing about public funds being used to fund the ANC's campaigns. That's maintaining the image of the party for you.
No. Part of the context, which the public may not be privy to because it was a meeting of the NEC. The issue on the table was the CR17 funds. And in the context of that discussion, other campaigns were being questioned and so on. So the president said, no, I don't want to be accused of diverting attention from this particular matter. So let me focus on this one. So if we are to maintain the image of the organization, let's not drag the organization into disrepute.
Too late for that, isn't it?
Well, I don't know if it is too late for that, because you must also take note of the fact that that audio was leaked to perpetuate a distortion that seemed to have gripped the media. That's why continuously we do our best to contextualize that particular audio, because it's clear that it is leaked. It has not been received in legal ways, but instead of arguing the legal issue, we explain the context, which not everybody is privy to.
Okay, you can verify that the audio, though, right? That is the president being heard in that audio clip.
No, I'm not speaking in technical terms that it is his voice. I'm speaking of the fact that I've been attending NEC meetings, and I know part of this discussion entails the matter that I've heard in the audio.
Okay, and just in terms of the way forward then, and in particular with the public money being used for ANC campaigns, has the NEC dealt with that? Because this audio, of course, is from last year.
No, the ANC has taken a view. Remember, from 2001, we have through the eye of the needle. You know, the issue of usage of state funds, corruption, and so on are issues that the ANC does not condone. But whenever we're faced with these reports of corruption and so on, we have agreed on a judicial commission of inquiry, which is the Zondo, which is beginning to present and to make public its findings and recommendations. And we're at that stage that we're dealing with that. And the ANC has even gone further to adopt processes and mechanisms to ensure that anyone who's indicted or who's accused of corruption is either steps aside or face the Integrity Commission. So we're acting on those things. The ANC is not silent. We're not just observing. Right now, the ANC has resolved to develop a task team that will look closely at the commission, at the recommendations and the findings of the, so that as we renew the African National Congress, we're able to integrate some of the shortcomings that might hinder, that might impact on the organization. All that we're saying is that there is a commission of inquiry, which is a product of the resolution of conference. And the ANC has set up a task team to look at that inquiry so that we are also as an organization and look at how best we can renew ourselves.
All right, one last question. You mentioned that this audio was leaked intentionally. Who do you think has an agenda here by leaking this audio? Because clearly it was somebody from that NEC meeting.
No, I wouldn't know. Obviously, if an audio of a meeting that invites specific people, obviously it might be a person who was part of that meeting. Whether, you know, it's obvious, but I can't say who is it.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time. ANC Head of Presidency, Sibongile Besani.
All right, so let's now bring in UDM leader Bantu Holomisa. General, you've listened to that interview with Sibongile Besani. He says context is key, and he says it's common knowledge that there were concerns about the ANC using taxpayers' money to fund campaigns. In your view, you've listened to the audio. How damning is it?
I think, first of all, we must thank the person who leaked that audio clip. It has confirmed the suspicions of many in this country that the state resources were being utilized or used by the ruling party in order to help their party coffers. So therefore, what President Cyril Ramaphosa needs to do is to come forward, firstly, confirm whether he knows about that clip, and secondly, the public wants to know the following. What the public wishes to know is when did he know about his colleagues or the ANC misusing state resources? Second, what did he mean when he said he would rather fall on his sword than reporting the perpetrators, given that he took an oath to safeguard the country's resources? So I hope that the process which has been started by SCOPA will culminate in SCOPA resolving for a need to go deeper into this. There have been these allegations, money is coming from state departments like True Bosasa. All these bogus companies which were used to channel these funds to Lutuli House for salaries, from municipalities, from departments. We need to go deeper into this. I hope that the SCOPA can resolve or suggest that SIU, which seems to be having capacity of forensic investigation, be given with clear terms of reference, especially terms of reference which would specify what methodology was used to channel these funds to the ANC in order for them to do. Because it looks like never been leveled.
I want to just quote again from the clip and then ask you a question. The president in the clip is heard saying, each one of us knows that quite a bit of money that's used in campaigns, bussing people around, is often from state resources and public resources. And we cannot kid ourselves when it comes to that. It happens a bit. I would rather say yes, they say yes, he got money from this businessman for CR17, than for the public to finally hear that their money, public money, was used to advance certain campaigns. That he said that, which, you know, and obviously listening to the presidency, they're saying, no, that's not quite what he's saying, you know. But those words, does it matter whether they were uttered before or after the president appeared at the Zondo Commission interstate capture? It seems to me, from what we know of the timeline of this ANC-NEC meeting, that it happened before. If indeed it did happen before this ANC-NEC meeting, and it suggests that he's well aware that there was state money used for ANC campaigns, certainly on the surface, does that suggest that he may have deliberately withheld information when he testified on behalf of the party before the State Capture Commission?
There is no doubt in anybody's mind that the ANC's approach in misusing state resources, we are talking here about an institutionalized corruption. President Ramaphosa has been a deputy president of this country, and there have been campaigns all along, conferences, policy conferences. We have seen SOEs displaying their products there, and not for free, but they pay monies to the ANC. So in that context, therefore, the arrogance of power sometimes makes some people forget what they have been appointed to do. Because he should have said, Judge Zondo, I heard the official from State Security. I heard agrees saying this. I can confirm that yes, there is something rotten in our system. And if you can, please guide us. This would have put him in a higher pedestal, given that he was given a mandate in the conference of the ANC to clean up the mess.
We do know that ANC MP has been suspended, Mervyn Dirks. There's, people within the ANC will say, well, it's a faction, the RET faction is trying to bring down Cyril Ramaphosa. Mervyn Dirks is saying, well, I took a principled stand because in the past the ANC has been slammed in Parliament for not speaking out and just towing the party line. Does it matter if Mervyn Dirks is a member of a faction? Is it important that he has brought this to the fore?
It doesn't matter. Honorable Dirk might be belonging to the people who mandated President Cyril Ramaphosa to come up with anti-corruption programs. But when he sees that he is still have a nerve to say, no, state resources, I cannot continue using them to beef up the ANC. To him, it looks like he bought to the story that his organization is going to change the image of corruption. So if they suspect him to be belonging to a certain faction, they must do a lie detector. Who cares?
I want to ask you a question. We had Popo Molefe on our show last year, and he spoke about Cyril Ramaphosa, and he spoke about the lack of support when he was trying to bring to light what was going on in PRASA, and he did feel very much abandoned, but he did say, if I recall correctly, that Cyril Ramaphosa basically had suggested to him that he must just carry on doing what he's doing, trying to uncover what was going wrong. And in many ways, Cyril Ramaphosa was biding his time to get to a position where he is today, to try and start unpacking the rot within the ANC and the issues around state capture. Do you make any concessions for the fact that if Cyril Ramaphosa wasn't in power, it's unlikely we would have seen an SIU report, as we did yesterday, into COVID-19 corruption? It's unlikely that we would have seen the Zondo Commission being able to continue its work.
Well, you can credit him for some of the steps he has taken. Let us not fool ourselves. But his problem is that he is surrounded by people who are panicking that if he is allowed to continue with this cleanup campaign, they themselves might end up being in jail. So they are pressing panic buttons. But the public of South Africa, fortunately, is no longer interested to listen to stories. They are expecting Zondo Commission to, among other things, recommend that any political party that has stolen government resources or monies, that money must be returned. We cannot only confine the return of monies only to individuals who were used as conduits to channel those monies, and some of these people who were given contracts could not finish programs. You go to the schools, you go to the highways, they start, and then certain percentage is taken away. So the scoper must go deeper and make sure that they come up with the clear guidelines of how to find the real cause of this. Thanks for the person who had leaked that video clip, that audio clip.
All right. Thank you so much for chatting to us this evening. It's much appreciated. UDM leader Bantu Holomisa, and he's saying Scopa must do its work, get to the bottom of this audio clip, and he's also called for the president to address the nation on this issue.